Welcome, folks, to another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast.
My name is Steve Lacy.
My name is Mike Gray.
Michael Gray is with us today, and Michael is down in Mexico. Is this a vacation for you? Because you're technically working.
It would be a working vacation.
Well, there you go. All right. And you're
I
down.
usually sleep in the morning, so by the time I hit the beach, it's warmed up and the water's ready for me.
How is the water now? This is April, and actually today in Tucson, it's going to be 90 degrees, which is a little above normal. How's it down there? And where in Mexico are you? Just so our fans
Puerto Penasco, down on the Sea of Cortez.
Okay.
And it's about 4 hours from Tucson. And temps are mid to high 70s, and the water temp is about the same.
Nice.
But it's shallow water, so late afternoon, it's actually pretty warm in the sea.
All right. Well, you're suffering for Jesus, I see.
Yes.
All right. Better known as Rocky Point to those of us in the Tucson area. So, all right, Steve, how are you today?
Doing great.
Super. All right. So this is episode 332. We were way off on our count last podcast because I wasn't paying attention. But episode 332 is what we are here today.
All right. We skipped right past 327 and on our way to 350, I guess, huh?
Yeah, 327 is a good number.
Yeah, I had a 327 in my Jeep one time.
396.
Yeah.
428. All kinds of good numbers coming.
All sorts of. These guys are into muscle cars, so that's in case you're new to our podcast. All right, so today we're going to talk about, if we can get to it, 4 things that you should have on your connection card. And actually, this is kind of a trick because I've actually got 5 things, but I've titled it 4 things you should have on your connection card. And this will be on our blog post later this week. Just go to blog.streamingchurch.tv. So most of us, at least in this area, are on the other side of the pandemic. There is still activity happening, but it's gone down quite a bit. And the pandemic, the variants don't seem to be quite as serious as they were. And so more and more people are starting to trickle away back to church. And but it's kind of interesting. I wrote some stats down here, Steve, that I think you would probably enjoy because you like stats. Barna reported in 2009, 48% of American adults were attending church weekly. Now you go to fast forward to 2020, and this is actually pre-pandemic, the number dropped to just 29%. So that's a pretty good decline in a short period of time here. And then speaking of stats, Barna it actually has given us some detailed information on how new visitors to churches will part with their personal information. So Barna asked millennials what personal information they were willing to give to a church upon their first time visit. Would you like to hear it?
Sure. I like how you say they're willing to part with their personal information. They're not giving it away for good. It's just, it's like, no, you have my name. I want it back.
All right. So here we go. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I was just thinking that there's some reality there. I mean, we live in the information age, but we also live in a very real age where people are fairly reticent to part with their information. So doing this well, what we're talking about today, is critical to get that exchange to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. So here's what they were willing to give or to part with on their first time visit to a church. 82% said they were willing to give you their first name. There you go. If it was me, I would make it up. But yeah,
make it up. Hey, my name is Bob today.
Yeah, I go by Omar. 53% were willing to go to give you their last name, first and last name, 53%. 33% said they were willing to give you their email address. I wouldn't really have any problem with that, because I would just, if I didn't, I would just, block them or something later if I didn't like them.
We need to point out that this is on a written communication where they're giving, I think people would, if someone came up to me, someone at church, and said, "Hey, Bob," or "Hey, what's your name? I'm Steve." They would say, "Hey," I think probably 99% would say, "Yeah, I'm Larry." But when filling out a form that's going to the church, this is what we're talking about.
So the title of this podcast is things you should put on your connection card. So,
yes. So this is
the context is your connection card here.
Yes.
But thanks for reminding us that.
Yes.
All right. So, and then did everybody hear my eyes rolling? So physical address, people, 19% said they would put on a connection card. 19% said they would give you their physical address. And then only 12% said the phone number. And then social media, only 6% said they would give you their social media information on the connection card. And then the very end here, 15% said, "I don't want to share anything with you guys."
Yeah. So as we look at this, I wonder if this takes into account those that just decide they're not going to fill out what we call a connection card. I assume other churches call different things, but an info card or whatever. Some people would get them and just never even take a minute to begin to write anything down. I assume this is based on people that are willing to at least fill out something, right? Or 15% will say, "Nope, I'm not filling out anything. You've asked me, I've addressed it, I'm just not going to do it."
Yeah, well, you can go to Barna. Is it barna.com? And maybe they got more details there. I don't remember now. But so anyhow, go ahead.
So I was just going to briefly review again. So 82% will give their first name, 53% last name. 1 out of 3 would give their email address, and 1 out of 5 would give physical address, and maybe around there 1 out of 10 will give their phone number, which for me, we still have a landline that we don't answer. So sometimes if people want my phone, they need my phone number, I will give the landline number that we don't answer.
So you give them a phone number, but it's basically a bogus phone number.
It's a phone number so that they can leave a message. And so, I mean, several of like my pharmacy has has our home phone, and they just leave messages. "Your prescription's ready to pick up," and that works great for us.
And
I don't need them calling me.
Why do you have a landline?
Because it's basically free. So we bought a device. It's a VoIP device that just connects to our internet. So, but we were able to retain our phone number, and so basically it doesn't cost us anything. So we have to now pay taxes on it. So that's the only cost. UMA.
There you go.
OOMA.com.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. We bought one
1990 something, right?
Probably, yeah. Probably late 90s.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get on track here. What were we talking about?
Yeah, it's really unusual for Steve to get us off track. But anyhow, we're talking about connection cards. So the whole idea of sharing these stats, guys, is that you really need to have a good connection card. People are still coming to church, although not as many as they were years ago. So you want to really be good at honestly capturing information. And I hate to use the word capture because that kind of has a negative connotation to it. But if you're going to get people's information, you really need to have a nice looking connection card. And there should be some things on the connection card. And based on these stats that we just looked at here, I would recommend that you probably have maybe four fields on that connection card. So four places on the connection card, four places to put information and not overwhelm them. I've been to churches, and you guys have too, I'm sure, where, you get some kind of an info card, connection card, communication card, whatever you want to call it. And it's just got this, it's long and it's got all these things they want you to fill out. And so based on this information that we've gotten from Barna here, most people are like, I'm not going to do all this. It's too much work. And so that's what we want to talk about today is what you should have on this connection card, how it should look, and what you should have. I think you should have a place for visitor's name, email, and phone number, and probably an area on the card. I don't know what you want to call it, like a freestyle form field where somebody can write in a comment, a prayer request, something like that would be good. So let's roll the tape back here a little bit. Go ahead.
Mike's point about this is a delicate interaction that you want to have, the initial interaction that you want to have with your first time guest. So you got to balance things appropriately, just like you said, because if you get no information, if you go through and put a form together that's got 12 fields on it, they're going to look at it and go, nope, we'll do this later, or not do this at all. And then they've left, and you have, as a church, have no way to reach out to them again. So you want to start this relationship through this connection card, and it's got to be balanced well, like you said. Can't have too much information, require too much information. It's got to be easy. It kind of, the parallel that we have, and we went through this in the in the website marketing world. If you want to create reach out to people and have them try some things, you got to make it really, really easy. So, and if it's too hard to do, then they just give up and go away and don't do it.
Yep. The more fields you add, the fewer people will respond.
Yes.
Without a doubt. Yeah. I think in how you address it too has a huge piece of it. And you were hitting on that, Phil, in the context of a prayer request or a comment. I think the best approach in getting people to fill out your card is to say, you came here for a reason and you're looking for something. Help me help you, and let me know what that is, so we can move that process along for you. So give me a comment, give me a prayer request. I want to serve you in this way. It's a huge game-changing shift from give me your information, please.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let me just talk briefly here about, how the card should look. And I don't know if I have this in the notes or not. There's some other things I wanted to talk about that aren't in these notes, but one of them would be, I think the card needs to look attractive. And so I would put some energy and some money into it where, the front of it looks nice. I mean, maybe a picture, and I would stay away from stock photos. I would get, if you could get some nice looking pictures of maybe some people actually from your church who are happy, friendly people, maybe people getting together, and a picture of that with your church's logo on it somewhere in the front, probably on the back too, it may be smaller. And then also your website on the front and back, but have it on the front part, have it really look nice. And if you don't want to put a picture, you could certainly, if hopefully your church has a logo or something that's attractive. I mean, everybody probably thinks it is, but something that looks decent, you could put that on the front. Well, we just did a webinar and we talked about ugly websites in the webinar, and I don't want to get into it, but some stuff is not real creative. It's just not very creative. So, maybe have, if logo on the front, website, you could do that on the front. I mean, you got to be careful you don't get too much information on there. You could maybe put service times, maybe, I don't know, but you just don't want to overwhelm people. And then on the back side is where we would, as we were talking about the fields, for 4 fields and maybe a comment area. And I still think you need to put the website on the back side. And there's another thing I have also that I put in here that we can get to in a moment. But I mean, I think the card should be like, what's the paper? Is it stock? Is that what you call it? It should be more of a stock size, a stock dimension, not dimension, but the thickness. What am I talking about here, guys? The thickness of the card shouldn't be just a piece of paper.
It's the
Yeah,
weight
the
of it.
weight. Yeah, the weight of the paper.
The weight, yeah. I mean, maybe not cardboard, but something that's a heavier weight. This is where we.
You're talking a lot about paper.
Yes.
I know we're going to talk about this, but I think if your primary connection card is not digital, you've already missed the mark.
Right. And that's what
it's
I was
great to have a paper one for people who like to write.
Yeah.
But people would rather put that information in on their phone.
Yeah. And so that was going to be a point that I was going to call a bonus point. And that
bonus.
Was,
I hit the
bonus. But sticking to the card here for just a moment, the actual physical card, it needs to look nice, and it should probably be something, I think, like a postcard size, not real big, not real long, but more like a postcard size. And so, but you're absolutely right, Michael. I mean, digital is the way to go. And that's why I have as the bonus point here in my notes, bonus would be a QR code. You could have a QR code on that card, and then people could use their mobile device and scan it. It's interesting. Steve and I were talking about this a while back about how, years ago, QR codes was like, whatever. And I think they were designed, if I remember right, back in the 90s by somebody in Japan, I think. And I think a few years ago, we thought, QR codes, it's not a big deal now. But when the pandemic hit, guess what? All the restaurants started not all of them, but a large group of restaurants started using the QR codes for their menus.
Yeah. I think a big part of it was incorporating QR code readers into cell phone cameras.
Yes.
So once you could just point the camera at it, because before you had to have an app.
Yeah, and I had one. I remember.
And I did too. And you'd have the app, and you'd launch the app, but not everybody had the app, and so it was kind of a nerd thing, to do the QR codes thing. Not everybody, but now it's just point your camera, and everybody goes, well, I know what the camera is. I got my camera on my phone, and so it's become a lot easier to accomplish than it was before, because you needed special stuff to be able to read them.
Yeah. So putting a QR code is really pretty easy to do. I think there's places you can go online and actually get a QR code. This part I didn't really do a lot of research on, but you could get a QR code online somewhere. You probably get it for free, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. And my church, Steve and my church, has had their QRs printed on stickers that stick on the back of the row in front of you, and one is for connection card and one is for giving. And so you can just zap it and go right to that process at your convenience. And I think you have to do both. And I think Phil's absolutely right that it needs to be some really nice connection card, but it's not something they're probably taking home. They're giving it back to you. So don't break the bank, but make it nice.
Yeah, I believe that's true. Here's a tip
and
too.
Simple.
Nice and simple. Yeah. Here's a tip as well. At my church, I don't remember when I was on staff with you guys, if you guys did this or not, but at the church I went to later, they didn't have any of this stuff. So I introduced a connection card. I think we called it communication card or connection card or something. But one of the things we decided to do was to make it easier and make everybody comfortable, even new people comfortable in filling it out. We would actually make announcements and then we would say, look, at the end of today's talk, we'd love to get your key takeaway. I mean, what did you get from this? Just a brief little key takeaway, or if you have a prayer request, or if there's something we can help you with, take your connection card out and just go ahead and put that on your connection card. So we actually asked everybody, not just new people, but everybody, to take a moment to fill out their connection card. And that makes things a little easier, I think, on new people, because, if you're just asking new people to fill out a card, And you feel sometimes a little self-conscious, right? Because you're maybe you're the only one in the row that's filling a card out because you're the only new person in that row, or maybe only 2 or 3 new people in your whole church. So it makes a little awkward. But if everybody's filling out a connection card, at least to some degree, I know that everybody's not going to do it, but there'll be more people doing it. It makes it, I think, easier for the newer people or the new people to fill out the connection card. And then as I don't say in these notes, you want to make it easy, getting back to the actual physical card here, you want to make it easy for people to be able to deposit those cards somewhere. So at our church, we had boxes where people could give online, or not give online. That's a kiosk, but we had boxes where people could drop in their offerings on the way out the door. So you could also, we asked people to drop their connection card off in those same boxes. We didn't actually pass the plate and, do that kind of a thing. But if your church passes the plate, a lot of churches do that. You could ask people at the very end of the time to, drop your connection card in. And so again, it makes people a little more, new people more relaxed, because when the offering plate comes by, you don't feel quite as guilty for not putting anything in it.
Yeah,
So
you've
you
got
can
something to put in.
you can drop the connection card in. So
Yeah, absolutely.
those are just little ways to so we're about done here, but recapping everything here, I think if you're going to use the physical cards, which I think a lot of churches are still doing, make it so that people can get a hold of those cards. Greeters can give them out. They could be in bulletins if you're still using bulletins, hard copy bulletins. Just make them available in different parts of the church where people can grab a connection card, and then at the end of the time, they're able to deposit those connection cards somewhere, and make it easy for them to get the card, make it easy for them to give it back.
Yeah.
I would go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to point out what you mentioned earlier, that this is the beginning of a relationship,
Right.
and they're going to be willing to give a little bit of information based on the level of the relationship.
Right.
And so don't be too worried about trying to get too much information early. You can just get very basic information early, and if these guys, if the church is a good fit for them, then you'll be able to get the rest of that information down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the way it is with relationships, right? I mean, it just takes time, be patient, and hopefully you can put on people will have a good impression, and they'll come back. And but the connection card is very important, either digital or that way you can reach out to people and a friendly little reminder, or ask them how their experience was. And we've talked about this before, but people don't answer their phones like Steve. They give bogus phone numbers, but they still will hear the message. And so if you call, if somebody is going to give you their phone number or give you their email, they may not respond. But the fact that you took the time to send that email saying, hey, we hope you had a good experience here. Let us know if there's anything we can pray for you about or help you with, or on the phone, if they give you the phone number and you leave a message, that signifies to people, they may not pick up, they may not answer the email, but they see it or they hear it. And it communicates something. It communicates to people, hey, this church at least took the time out to say thanks for coming and ask for my opinion on something. So that's
Bill. Since I blew, I'm sorry, Bill. Since I blew your bonus, can I add one?
Sure, please do. Here's a bonus.
All right, so here's a bonus. Consider giving something away. So if you we live in a hot desert climate. We give away water bottles. Right. People love water bottles in Arizona. So we from the get-go, the announcer says, hey, so glad you're here. We'd like to exchange information to help you on your journey of whatever you came here for. When you leave today, hold your connection card and take it and exchange it for this great water bottle we have for you. I'm so glad that you're here, and we want to help you in your journey. So something along those lines in a giveaway can entice people to maybe go past their comfort zone of the data, that Barna gathered, maybe you could push that envelope. I know you can push that envelope higher because we did it. And you can get more connection cards with honey or a giveaway than just asking for information.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. There's maybe we can do a podcast on this. Somebody had a great idea. I forget where I read it. And somebody had the idea of, instead of giving something away to first timers, ask them for maybe a charity that they like, and you will give $5. Your church will give $5 towards their favorite charity. And so something which I thought was a really good,
it's another great idea.
Yeah, out of the box
great
thinking,
idea.
so to speak. That's a term that's overused, out of the box, but a different idea, as far as, not, instead of giving them some kind of a physical thing like a water bottle, which again I think is a good idea, but something a little different, donating to their favorite charity, or something like that. But that's another thing we could talk about at another time. All right, guys. Well, all right. So we are done here. I want to remind you, this podcast, the Church Solutions Podcast, is brought to you by mychurchdaily.com. Mychurchdaily.com enables you, leaders of your church, to be able to put on a flash briefing on Alexa devices, Amazon Echo devices. They have all sorts of great features on those devices. Millions of people now have them in their homes here in the United States and across the world. And you can get a flash briefing. You can get a daily flash briefing. Steve uses his all the time. And you can you have your church as be a part of a flash briefing. We've made it very easy. Yes, mychurchdaily.com is us. And it's just check out the website. It's a 14-day free trial, and you could have your church's flash briefing on Alexa devices, and you can connect with your people. Easter's coming up. What a good way to do that, to be able to connect with people, keep people in touch. And we've written some articles. If you go to blog.streamingchurch.tv, you'll see a couple articles on there about My Church Daily and how you can use it, and some examples for that. So take advantage of that opportunity.
It's kind of become it's part of my ritual for me now. I wouldn't call it my snooze button, but it's kind of a, before I even get out of bed, I ask her, you have flash briefing. So I get, the word from the church, I get the weather for the day, I get some news, and then I get out of bed.
There you go. Wow. You do it all in bed. Wow. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know that about you. Huh. Wow. I should try to hijack your flash briefing. And so when you ask next time, I'll pop in and say something. Get up. All right, guys. Michael Gray, thank you very much. Hope you enjoy your time in Mexico.
Pleasure. Yep. Thank you.
Try not to get too much sun. And Steve Lacy, as always, thank you for your input.
Good to be here.
And thank you, folks, for listening to the Church Solutions Podcast, or watching it. You can subscribe. Just go to wherever you get your podcast and look for Church Solutions Podcast. And you can subscribe to us and never miss a podcast, because why would you? Why would you want to miss us? All right. I'm Phil Thompson. Have a great day. We'll catch you next time.